Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News, proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services here in Sydney. Finally, there was some breaking news regarding state sponsorships for the 190 and 491 visas. The states and territories have all received an interim allocation of places for the next 3 months to tie them over until the federal budget is handed down on the 25th of October. When the budget is released, the full allocation will be known. However, based upon the interim figures, we could be looking at a potential four-fold increase over the previous financial year for the states and territories to hand out invitations. The New South Wales government has released some information regarding their sponsorship criteria for the 190 visa and 491 visa. For the 190 visa, there will be a new 6-month residential requirement for those who are residing in Australia. They are also open to offshore applicants, but if you have been residing in Australia recently, you must be outside of Australia for at least 6 months. You will also need to meet the work experience and point score identified on the New South Wales nomination skills list for your ANSCO unit group you are applying under. At the time of filming this video, this list has not been released. However, check their website using the link below to see if it's been published. You can only be invited to apply for your nomination by the New South Wales government directly. They will issue an invitation to you based upon your expression of interest, your EOI, on the Immigration Department's Skills Select website. For the 491 visa, you must be currently residing in New South Wales for 3 months. The 491 visa is open to offshore applicants, but those who have previously resided in Australia must have been outside of Australia for more than 3 months. The occupation list, like for the 190 visa, will identify any work experience requirement for a particular ANSCO unit group. Again, check the New South Wales Government website to see if this list has been released. For the 491 visa, there are 2 new pathways for New South Wales nomination. Pathway 1 is to apply directly to a New South Wales Regional Development Authority, an RDA office. These regional area offices will have their own requirements set out on their web pages. It is important to note that those who have studied in regional New South Wales will be exempt from the minimum work experience requirement if you meet the following 3 conditions: have completed your course within the last 24 months, and the course is closely related to your nominated occupation, and you are eligible to claim the points for this study in regional Australia on your EOI. Pathway 2 is where you will be invited by the New South Wales government directly without using an RDA, and this will be based solely upon your EOI. New South Wales has moved away from the registration of interest it used last financial year for the 491 visa. It is important to note that New South Wales does not give specific dates for its invitation rounds. It is also vital to know that your EOI must only indicate one visa subclass, either 491 or 190, and that New South Wales must be your selected state of choice to migrate to. If you have an old EOI in the system that indicates 189, 190 and 491 visa options together, you either have to modify it or perhaps make new ones. If you choose the any state or territory option, then you may not receive an invitation to apply to New South Wales. For the skilled nomination 190 visa, Tasmania has been given 2,000 places and 1,350 for the 491 visas. Tasmania says its state nomination program will open progressively in phases over the coming weeks. The initial phase will include successful candidates that were held over from the previous financial year, in conjunction with the selection and invitation and nomination of candidates in the Overseas Skilled Occupations Profiles pathway. The second phase will open the program to high priority Gold Pass and Green Pass applicants. The final phase will open the program to registrations of interest from all eligible candidates. As yet, there are no dates allocated for when these specific phases will begin. The Northern Territory also announced it had received an interim allocation of places, but did not disclose how many. Their website outlined that they continue to receive and assess onshore nomination applications under the existing eligibility criteria. The NT government has advised potential applicants to lodge their applications as soon as possible after meeting the eligibility criteria. Migration NT confirms they are not open to offshore applicants. Now, Victoria was a more interesting story last week, having opened its sponsorship doors and completely rewriting its sponsorship criteria. They are now fully open to offshore candidates. There have been a return to the pre-pandemic assessment criteria where all occupations can now be nominated and there is no longer a target sector to satisfy, nor do applicants applicants need to be using STEM skills. In fact, Victoria allows applicants to be working in a different occupation to their nominated occupation, as long as it is in the ANSCO skill level 1, 2 or 3. This is a big change to even the pre-pandemic requirements. Victoria, in fact, has become the easiest state to satisfy their selection criteria. Of course, those onshore must be living and working in Victoria, but there is no specific work period necessary. The good news is that for offshore applicants, there is no need for job offers at all, and all occupations are available. Victoria's registration of interest system is now open. All of this seems a bit too good to be true with regards to easy requirements, and to some extent it is. Remember, this is a registration of interest system, and they will choose the most valued potential applicants. No doubt they will have their own targeted selection criteria so they can choose the people they want. Unfortunately, these criteria have not been made public. Suffice to say, it will mean that the system will be very, very competitive. The Victorian Premier Dan Andrews was happily sprucing the fact that the government was on target to bring health workers into the state.
Really very pleased to be able to update you that nearly 700 international healthcare professionals have come to Melbourne and across Victoria in the last 12 months. That's part of our plan to recruit 2,000 international healthcare workers by the middle of next year, and we're well on track to do that.
Having lodged a few registrations of interest for clients for Victoria already, we can tell you the level of salary you are earning in Victoria for onshore applicants is required to be declared. So that makes it pretty obvious that your salary level will be playing an important component in your success in your registration of interest. There is no request for salary levels if you are an offshore applicant. The ACT has been quick off the mark to make use of its interim allocation by releasing an invitation round on the 10th of August. Their critical skills list is now also available on their website. 199 places were given to the offshore 491 visa applicants compared to only 64 for onshore applicants. This is an interesting figure indeed. We will leave a link at the end of this video so you can check out the details of the latest ACT invitation rounds along with the links to the other states and territories. Queensland has also opened its sponsorship program with some interesting changes. PhD, doctorate and master's graduates have access to the 190 and 491 nominations. The master's graduates have extra conditions attached for the 190 visa access. Bachelor degree graduates have access to just the 491 visa. Both the master's and bachelor degree graduates will need to show employment in their nominated or closely related occupation. PhD or doctorate graduates do not. The working in Queensland for onshore applicants is basically the same as last year. 6 months for the 190 visa and 3 months for the 491 visa in your nominated or closely related occupations. Queensland is now open to offshore applicants, and you will need to nominate an occupation on the Queensland Skilled Occupation List and be able to reach at least 80 points for the 190 visa or 65 points for the 491 visa, have the minimum of proficient English except where otherwise specified, and have the minimum of 3 years post-study work experience, again except where otherwise specified. The small business owner, known as the SBO pathway, remains essentially the same as before, but there are a few more requirements regarding no vendor financing, no share transfer, you must have a contract of business sale, cannot purchase a business from a family member, cannot relocate or sell a business before receiving approval from Migration Queensland, cannot purchase a business previously owned by a 491 SBO applicant. Commission agents or leasing agents of franchises such as petrol stations and home-based businesses, including those with virtual offices, will not be considered. Applicants must operate their business for at least 3 years in a regional area and may be subject to monitoring after the grant of the visa. As with all the states and territories, we'll be making separate videos regarding these nomination requirements for the 190 and 491 visas. Well, that's it for another interesting week. Make sure you don't miss out on any of these fascinating updates by subscribing to our channel. As always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time, so bye for now.